Hey, Bruce Feldman, pleased to be joined this week by Oregon offensive lineman Ryan Walk. One of the best stories in the Pac-12. He's been a key contributor for the Ducks on their ride. They're in the top 5. They're going to play a big rival in Washington this weekend. Ryan, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Bruce.
So for people who don't know your story, I remember talking to your childhood buddy, Justin Herbert, obviously a great player there. Remember, Justin talked about how close he grew up to Autzen Stadium. You were a teammate of his. Even closer? What's the distance for you to walk to Autzen?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a competition, but I think I do live a little bit closer to Autzen than Justin did. Probably about a 5-minute walk. We never drove to games growing up just because traffic was so crazy. It was just easier for us to walk.
So how surreal is it to be starting for the team that you grew up down the street from?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great experience. I have to pinch myself sometimes to realize that I really did dream of doing this. And so to have this come to fruition and be my reality right now, it's a great feeling, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
In his own humble way, Justin, talking to him years ago, he was like, he didn't think he was good enough to play there, good enough even to go to camp there. I mean, what was your perspective like as a young kid seeing all those terrific Oregon teams? Did you think, hey, someday I'm going to play for them? Or were you, I don't want to say more realistic, because obviously Justin's perspective wasn't realistic because he was good enough.
I would say growing up, obviously I had those dreams and I thought I could make that happen. And then once I got to high school, I realized, I was a little undersized and I wasn't having any kind of crazy college interest. And so I kind of started to realize, well, maybe one AA will be more realistic for me. And then, I didn't even end up getting to play my senior year. So none of those one AA schools even ended up offering me. So I decided, I'm going to take my shot at the highest level and see how it works out.
So you get to play for a head coach who is a former offensive lineman and as intense a guy as there is in Mario Cristobal. What was it like as you're a walk-on trying to either catch his attention or prove yourself as you get settled into the program?
Yeah, I had Nick Aliotti one time stop me in Eugene, but he knew I was walking on, and he knew my dad a little bit because my dad played here in the late 80s. And he stopped me in the grocery store one time. Kind of funny, I ran into him and he told me, if you want to stand out as a walk-on, you got to be the hardest worker in the room at all times. I don't care how much more talented everybody else is. If you want to have a shot and if you want to stand out, you need to outwork everybody at all times. And that really stuck with me. And that's really, pushed me to be who I am today and, catch the coach's eyes when I was able to. And so I've just tried to remember those words and, work that into a reality.
So when you step in at center, Alex Forsythe has been a really good player and a leader. He was the offensive player who the Ducks brought to Pac-12 Media Day. It shows you what they think of him. He along with Kayvon Thibodeau. So when he goes down, you jump in. Was it, all right, I've been preparing for this moment basically my whole life, or what was your approach to jumping in and just keeping it going?
My approach was just do my job, try and get the guys in the right spot so that, we could execute as an offense. That my only goal was to just come in and fill the shoes of Alex, do my job, make sure the offense, rolls as if Alex is still in there. So, I wasn't trying to do anything that I didn't need to do. I was just trying to step in and do my job and help the offense execute the best I could.
So obviously you've been doing it really well because they're 7-1 and the Ducks keep winning. I'm curious, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to a young Ryan Walk as he's kind of got big dreams of this?
Just keep working hard. Just keep pushing yourself every day. Be the best person you can be. Work hard in school, work hard in football, and you never know where you may end up. You might just be right where you wanted to be all along.
Ryan, I want to read something to you. So I asked your position coach, Alex Mirabal, the offensive line coach there. I said, I'm talking to Ryan today. Just tell me something, what you think makes him really special. This is what he said. And he said it in, there's a bunch of all caps, there's a bunch of exclamation points. He's an O-line guy, but Ryan Walk is the walking billboard of Oregon culture. Tough, physical, resilient, plays with a damn boulder-sized chip on his shoulder, has earned everything he's gotten, plays unfazed, does not get rattled, tremendous leader, not afraid to get on his peers and hold their butts accountable, wants to teach math and coach football, loyal, foxhole dude. Give me 22 Ryan Walks and you win championships. How do you feel when you hear that man who you've worked for a lot say those things about
That means the world, coming from him, because he's one of the hardest working people I've ever met. And, a lot of those words he used to describe me, you would use to describe him. He really is one of the most loyal, hardworking people I've ever been around. And so to hear that, it's really humbling. And, I just try and embody that every single day.
You were a nominee for the Burlsworth Award. That goes to the best walk-on in the country. What would it mean for you to win that?
It would be really special. But at the end of the day, my goal is to win a Pac-12 championship and hopefully win a national championship. That's the goal. The team goals come first. And then any personal accolades, that come along, if you're winning, those personal accolades will come. So, it's always team first. And so Pac-12 championship's the goal. And, to get there, we have to be 1-0 this week against a really good Washington football team.
Alex's point about wanting to be a math teacher, any part of that, of your appreciation or interest in math, kind of carry over to how you view the game?
Yeah, I've always been a numbers guy. Like, numbers have always really came pretty easy to me. And so I know that we do a lot of like zone count stuff here in the run game. And so that stuff always kind of came easy to me, and I was able to grasp that pretty quickly. I think that was, like you said, how did I stand out to Coach Cristobal as a walk-on? That was one thing I was able to grasp that pretty quickly. And I think he noticed that, just because numbers have always been an easy thing for me. Math's always been a strong subject of mine. So I think that does carry over to the football field, looking at like zone counts and, protections, count of who we got and things like that.
So, I mean, in layman's terms, it seems like it's relatively simple in terms of counting, from where you are and where you make your protection calls. But how does it actually work in your head on the fly when it's going like that?
In protection, it's less numbers and more you're sorting a gap, and you have to know if you're the center, you're the anchor in the protection. So the first guy that crosses your face, you got to go back with him. So it's pretty simple. And then guard, that, okay, one guy already crossed my face, I got to take the next thing if he goes across my face or hits the B gap. And then I don't really play tackle, so I don't try to think about that much. But and then in the run game, you either have a 3-man surface, you got a 4-man surface. So if you got a 3-man surface, the center guard and tackle front side are going to take the 3 most dangerous. And if there's a 4th hitter, we've got to push out to him. And then if you got a tight end, it's a 4-man surface, and you got to take the 4 most dangerous. And if there's a 5th person out there, then we got to push everybody out that direction. So, the numbers is definitely a little part of O-line play. And I think that's just been something that I've been able to grasp pretty easily here.
So towards that part of it, you guys, as we're taping this, last night, this first CFP rankings came out. You guys were at number 4, ahead of Ohio State, which obviously you beat those guys head to head, and you beat them probably without your best defensive player on top of that. How much do you look at, are you a numbers guy in terms of formulas and different things, in terms of there used to be a BCS system that would have these formulas and all these kind of calculations? Is that something that's ever fascinated you?
No, Verone made a great point last night when the rankings came out. Verone McKinley, great leader of our team. He texted in a group chat and he said, acknowledge it and move on. And so that's what we've done. We've acknowledged that the rankings there, we're not going to act like we're blind to it. We know it's a thing, but at the end of the day, if we don't go handle our business this week, then none of it matters. So we have to go out and we have to be 1-0 against a really good football team this week in order for our dreams to come true at the end of the season.
At the end of the season, you're going to play, obviously, the team from down the street in the Beavers, but this is another big rivalry game. What do you remember as a kid, if at all, of some of these matchups between the Ducks and the Huskies?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it's a bitter rivalry. The teams don't like each other. I know the fans really don't like each other, and it's always a little extra special when Oregon and Washington play each other. So I'm looking forward to it this week. I know it'll be a really good matchup, and excited for the opportunity.
All right, Ryan, best of luck this weekend, and best of luck the rest of the season, as well as with the Burlsworth.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.